everybody? Welcome back to Thought You Should Know, episode 2. I'm here with Rick. We're covering home inspections today. Rick, you want to tell us about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Rick.yurko, and I own and operate a home inspection business here in the North Denver metro area. And yeah, I opened the business back in August, I think, and yeah, we've been up and rolling.
Up and rolling. You've been pretty busy too, I heard.
We have.
Good.
We have. Lately, actually, there was some slow time around Christmas, but yeah, we got picked up a little bit.
Very cool. Very cool. So basically our goal today is kind of get you guys prepped for the inspection process. Whether you're buying a property or if you're selling a property, hopefully you can take a couple pieces of this information and use it to help you. To start, what is a home inspection and why do you need one?
Well, I think basically it's to protect you as the buyer or you as the seller, to know what you're looking at and know what kind of issues may arise during the real estate transaction that you may be asked to pay for or mitigate or fix. So I think the biggest thing is really looking for the major pieces of the home, like the roof sheathing on the inside of your attic, any kind of water penetration around the foundation. Those kind of things are really the big ones to be watching out for.
Can someone inspect their own home?
Yeah, I guess technically they can. I mean, we do a lot of work on training and getting certified so that we can see things that the average homeowner won't see. Different areas of penetration, water penetration in the foundation, issues that may arise in the furnace that they wouldn't be familiar with, wiring that wasn't done correctly once we pulled a dead plate off the breaker box. Things like that are really what we dive into that your normal homeowner really wouldn't be accustomed to seeing.
How much does a home inspection cost and when do you get paid?
Well, the cost of a home inspection varies from home inspector, whether they're licensed and certified and, carrying the proper amount of assurance, or if they're not. I mean, a lot of times you can get those gentlemen that aren't certified to do it a little bit cheaper than the rest of us because they don't have to carry the insurance and things like that we do. But basically it's based off of square footage of a home.
Okay.
So a lot of times, like for me, it starts at $375 up to 2,000 square feet.
Okay.
And then it'll go to 400 from 201 to 2,500. And then it jumps up that way. That's kind of how we do it on that aspect.
Okay, perfect. And that's usually something that the buyer's going to have to pay for right away, correct?
Correct. We'll send them an agreement that they sign, and once they sign that, they've basically contracted us. And then once they contract us, we'll send them a pay link, and as long as we get paid prior to the inspection starting, we're good to go.
Perfect. What all do you include in your inspection process?
Well, I include just about everything from walking the foundation, the site grading, siding, roofing, the attic. Once we get in the house, we'll check all the outlets, all the windows. We'll run all the appliances. We'll check flooring, your furnace, your AC unit, your hot water heater, the piping that's visible anyway if it's not in a finished area. Yeah, pretty much everything you can think of. Have doors shut, open and shut cabinets, make sure they're flush and working great. We just want to, the biggest thing is that I can give the potential buyers an education on that home and give them as much information as I possibly can so they can make an educated decision on whether they want to buy the home or not.
Definitely. Okay, very cool. So with all that being said, should the buyers accompany you to the inspection?
It just depends. Some buyers like to come towards the end and then just have me give them a summary of what I found. Some like to be there the whole time. It just depends on their preference. And generally, if a buyer is there during a home inspection, anytime I find something that might be a little, something maybe we should worry about, I'll pull them aside. I'll show them. I'll walk them through where their water turnoffs are, the gas turnoffs, those kind of things. And if they choose to show up at the end, which is fine too, I'll just have a quick summary and I'll show them pictures of all the things that I went through, and then we'll have a nice report with all those pictures put together that afternoon for them. So,
what are some of the most common things that you see during home inspections?
That's a great question. I mean, I think it really just depends on the age of the home. But for the most part, I think you see pipe leakage, evidence of prior water damage or water penetration if they have crawl spaces and things of that nature. And other than that, it's usually in the newer homes. It's usually smaller things like lights that were positioned incorrectly, or GFCI outlets that don't trip because they've been wired incorrectly. Things of that nature, really, the more cosmetic type things in the newer homes.
What are some of the major problems that you found?
Doing a sewer scope, we found some sewer lines that had either been penetrated by tree roots, cracked, or dropped to where they've actually sunken and they create a flat pool. And in that pool, once that pool gets big enough with the backup that comes with the sewer, it'll start flushing back into your home. And those things can take anywhere to $5,000 to $15,000 to fix. So yeah, that's a big one. I think other things is just really leaking in the house that's caused mold or dampness in a crawl space. And if you have asthma, that's a huge thing to worry about, is that dampness coming into your house. I guess, and the last thing I would say is that here in Colorado we had a lot of uranium through the years in our soil, so we tend to have a lot of radon, and people don't realize how important it is to know number one, if you've got that gas and the amount of gas you got in your house, and number two, how to mitigate it, because I've seen radon levels 29, and really anything over 4 is a serious issue. So we've seen them as high as 29 in the last 3 or 4 months here. And that's the second leading cause of cancer behind smokers. So yeah, it's the number one for non-smokers.
Okay, so if there is radon, what steps would you take, to get that fixed?
Yeah, what they do is they set up a fan and a ventilation system, and once that mitigation system is set up, they let it run for 24 hours. We'll come back out, we'll retest, see if the mitigation piece works, and if it works, which 99% of the time it does, it's very easily mitigated. And a lot of people ask me about the price of that. I don't know exactly because there's so many different companies right now, but I know you can get your home mitigated, get everything done. Usually between $800 and $1,200.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, we paid about $1,200 on my last listing, to get that radon mitigation fixed.
It's very important, actually. A lot of people don't realize, but it's a serious thing.
Absolutely. I mean, extra $1,200, protect your family. That's the way I see it. Say a buyer decides to go with a different inspector and doesn't choose to use Rick here.
Darn it.
I know.
Who would do that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to use them. If buyers do choose a different inspector, what are some questions that they should be asking that inspector?
I think the first thing that I would ask them is I would want to know if they're certified and licensed and what kind of insurance they carry. Okay. Because there's a lot of folks out there that don't get certified for the sole reason of not wanting to carry the insurance that's required. So that could be an issue. And I think the other thing is I would want to see some copies of their reports. I ran into a customer about a month ago, and we do everything digitally online. You get a professional printed report, the whole nine. And she had hired an inspector prior to me, like 6 or 8 months prior, and he actually wrote it out on a note sheet and handed it to her at the end of the time. So, I mean, you kind of want to know how it's going to be presented. The information you're going to have, is it going to be able to be presented to, through your realtor to the seller, and be able to negotiate genuinely on issues that arise, or are you going to just have this, scratch and trying to figure that out? So those kind of things I'd want to see and I'd want to know. And then I'd want to know exactly what they do when they're in the house. What exactly do they check? I mean, some people will check 3 or 4 windows and not all of them. Right. They'll check 3 or 4 outlets, but not all of them. They won't run your dishwasher, your stove, your heaters. I mean, they won't, it's all visual. They won't walk the roof. That's the other thing. I mean, walking the roof is very important. I know it's hard this time of year when you got the ice and the snow, but you got to get up there and walk it. You got to feel so you know how that undersheathing is really holding up. I mean, people could put shingles over, sheathing that's been here for 50 years, and it's still going to be a bad roof and have a potential to be a problem. So I'd want to know exactly what they're going to look at prior to.
We kind of went into what buyers should be asking. What kind of tips and advice would you have for sellers getting ready to prep their home for sale?
Well, I think first thing would be, check your windows. Just make sure they shut flush, the doors shut flush, you ain't got anything sticking or prying. I mean, those are a lot of things that seem to come up. The other thing is I would know your radon level going into it. I mean, you have to be licensed to do radon testing, but you can get different levels at different times. So you want to arm yourself with as much information as you have. So I would want to know my radon level. I think, and the other thing, you know, is and this is maybe silly to some, but make sure all your lights are changed and all your lights are on every time someone comes, like a home inspector or an appraiser or, you know, even the potential buyers. It just makes your house look more open, inviting, and it looks like you take care of it better.
Definitely.
If it's dark and dingy and dungy, I mean, it just kind of makes people feel like you don't take care of it, so they tend to dive into things a little deeper than they really need to.
So I think one big misconception here is, you know, sellers shy away from FHA buyers because they think that FHA inspections are way more strict than conventional inspections. Can you give any insight to that? How different are they?
I can tell you that that's absolutely not true at all. The inspection between a conventional and a FHA loan is exactly the same. There's no requirement in any state that I'm aware of. Specifically here in Colorado, I know there's no requirement for anything different on each.
Is that the same with VA as well?
VA as well, absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah, I've had a lot of people asking me that, like, should we not accept FHA buyers because the inspection process might be more stringent? Well, you heard it there. It's all the same.
It's all the same.
Are home inspections pass or fail?
No, they're not. I think, you know, a lot of things, and unfortunately, in today's world, home inspectors got to know everything that they see, kind of as a CYA, if you will. And it just really depends on those major aspects that the potential buyer is concerned with.
Right.
I mean, it's not a pass or fail. I mean, it's not how many things you find wrong, or, you know, it could just be everything in the house is great, but there's a potential to have a problem with the roof, and that's the one thing the buyer, you know, didn't want to have to mess with. So there's no pass or fail. It's up to the buyer and what they think that they can either resolve with the seller, or that is a you know, a non-deal, no close kind of deal.
Yep. That's where I come in. Basically, after Rick does his job and goes through and gives me that report, we enter inspection resolution period. Basically, we look at the inspection report and see what kind of things that we want fixed, and we draw up a contract, send that to the seller, and they are required to either fix what we want or negotiate with us till we find a happy medium so everybody's happy. Some of those main things that we definitely look for are the health and safety stuff. What are some of the health and safety stuff other than the radon that you had touched on?
Well, you want to check to make sure that there's no small gas leaks down and around the furnace or the hot water heater. You know, that's definitely things. We look for trip and fall hazards, you know, in concrete that's uneven or shifted or dropped or things like that. We also like to look at railing, you know, the railing inside and out on the deck even. And then those decks, you know, we want to make sure that they're built up right. If you got kids, you don't want them. We got this new house, we run out on the deck and the thing falls apart or somebody gets hurt on it, so you want to make sure that those things are always put together properly.
You talked about how you carry insurance and not all inspectors carry insurance. Why would somebody want an inspector with insurance?
Well, I think there's a lot of different liabilities when you go into a home. I mean, you can fall through the ceiling when you're walking the attic, you can fall through the roof. You could turn a stove on that's already been damaged, you know, and maybe make it worse. I mean, there's just a lot of different things that can happen in the home. So I think that's a big part of the basic insurance that we cover. Most of us have to carry $1 million liability for that, omission and errors. And then I think the other thing that some of us have started doing lately is carrying referral liability insurance, which actually protects the realtors or anybody that would refer a client to us. Okay. So if, you know, God forbid something happened and there was some damage done to a home and they tried to go back to whomever, the realtor or whomever referred that client to me, my insurance would automatically kick in and cover that.
Okay, perfect. That's good to know. And like you said, not a lot of inspectors carry that.
No, correct? Sir, they don't. No.
Well, there you go. So, Rick, why should we use you?
Put me on the spot?
Yes, I am.
Well, first of all, I think that, you know, for me personally, you're going to get a quality home inspection. You're going to get someone that's honestly there to work for that customer and provide them with as much information as I can, educate the homeowner the best I can, so they have an opportunity to make a great buying decision. I think the other thing too is that, you know, I believe that we add value after the fact. Every customer that decides to do a home inspection with us or with me, they get a cloud account. And in this cloud account, it's basically a website for them to have forever, free of charge. I will upload the inspection report to the cloud, and then the customer has the ability to upload, room sizes, paint colors. They can upload all their appliances, previous contractors, warranty information in this thing, and it stores it for them forever. Now the cool thing is when you upload your appliances, and you can even upload your cars if you wish, the system will constantly check for recalls on those things. And if anything ever comes up on any appliance, any vehicle that you've uploaded, it'll send you a notification that there's been a recall or a potential problem. I think that the other thing that's cool with this thing, and actually this really helps with not only me but our realtor friends that I work with, is that you can go into this cloud account and set up reminders. So remind me every 30 days to change my furnace filter. Remind me at start of fall to clean out my gutters. Remind me when to blow out my sprinkler system. All those different reminders that you want as a homeowner. And when those reminders are sent to that customer, it'll come from the realtor, and it'll come from me with all your information and all my information. So it helps us keep in front of the customer that way as well.
Very cool.
And then I guess the last thing that we do after the fact that I think adds benefit is we have a Connect program, which will call that customer 7 to 10 days after they've used me for a home inspection, and they'll ask them if they want them to set up their cable TV, set up the appointment for their internet, switch over their gas, switch over their electricity, and they'll be the ones to sit on the phone, 3-4 hours, however long some of those things take, and make those appointments for you and get those things switched over. So, a little bit of benefit after the fact as well. So yeah, I think that's why I should be your choice.
It's pretty awesome. I know, going through the home buying process, it's extremely overwhelming. You're going to forget about some things. So he just made it easier for you. So the inspection process is probably the most stressful part of the real estate transaction, but it doesn't have to be, especially when you work with somebody like Rick, who's going to explain everything to you, educate you while you're walking through the house, or if you show up after the fact, go over that report with you, give you advice on the health and safety stuff that you should try and get fixed in that inspection resolution, and that sort of thing. I know inspectors get a bad rap, but they really shouldn't. I mean, Rick's a great guy. Thank you very much for coming by.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I hope you guys took something away from this, and good luck house hunting.
Call me.